Hello and welcome back to another episode of On the Mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. And I am very happy to be bringing you today's podcast episode because it is a request. And I love to get requests. And, this one was from a guy on that follows me on Twitter, but I know him, in person. But, listen, my podcast is really pretty simple. I like to equip my listeners with fundamental life skills. It's going to help you live your best life today. And, some shows are business focused, others are, focused on more for women. And then kind of there's a little something in between. But at the end of the day, I want you to live your best life now. And so today's episode is about Planned Parenthood. I got a request, like I said, on Twitter to please do a podcast about it. It is easy to vilify an organization like Planned Parenthood. But my question, and I challenge everybody to question, what is the motive behind vilifying organizations such as Planned Parenthood, especially when you only focus on one service and they provide a plethora of other services. So let's get into it. First of all, if you don't know, Planned Parenthood has been around for over 100 years. I think it's 102 years old this year, or maybe 103, but it is over 100 years old. Over 100 years old. That's right. Okay. So I think, okay, so in 2016, they turned 100. So yeah, they're 103 years old. And it's really focusing on women's health as it relates to a lot of different health initiatives, from reproductive health care, sex education, but it's pretty much about providing affordable medical care, not just some random health, but it's affordable quality health care, because 1 in 5 American women have chosen Planned Parenthood for health care at least once in their lives. I can tell you right now, I know lots of college students who have used Planned Parenthood just for general health screenings, because not all college campuses provide general college health screenings, meaning, physicals, that kind of stuff. You either have to go to your own doctor or to a Health and Human Services, like a local, health agency. But you might be like, the wait list for that sometimes is long. So you make your local healthcare, organization or whatever may not fit you. So especially in college towns, where do you go for low cost, affordable, high quality health care screenings? You can go to Planned Parenthood and get that. So ask yourself, why vilify this organization by focusing on abortions when they provide screenings for cervical and other cancers? They reduce the spread of sexually transmitted infections through testing and treatment. They actually do sex education. They provide contraception. They have physicians, nurse practitioners. They have the gambit. It's like, for real. It is a healthcare organization. It is 103 years old. Why is it necessary to vilify this organization? What's at the heart? What's at the root? Because I see in the media all the time, oh, we need to pull funding from them because of abortions, but you're pulling not just from that. That's only one service. One service. Planned Parenthood and its affiliates provide educational programs and outreach to 1.5 million young people and adults every year. Who else is doing anything at that volume? They provide sex education. And if you don't know that, you know that now. I know this because they've done it on college campuses. They partner with organizations, because you need to have open and honest dialogue about your sexuality, about sexual preference, what you're doing, whether it's in the classroom, online, or whatever, because STDs are at an alarming rate and they need to be reduced. And this organization is helping to do that. They're also in the fight for reproductive health rights. They have global initiatives, lots of facts and figures. I am looking at an annual report. I think this is most recent, 2017-18. Planned Parenthood has 2.4 million patients. They provide 9.7 million services. But this is the number that might interest you. 4,712,985 STI testing and treatments in 2017-18 alone. Of that, 741,352 HIV tests conducted, 240,489 STIs diagnosed. But we want to focus on abortion. They provide hormone therapy for transgender patients in 21 states. They participated in more than 75 research studies and published 28 articles in peer-reviewed journals. That's a big deal, including innovative research showing that patients who learn how to self-administer the birth control shot, meaning the depot, are more likely to continue to use it. Okay, safe sex, birth control practices. This is necessary because, okay, for all of y'all that's on the no anti-abortion wagon, you should be in support of safe sex practices like the depot shot, like contraception. They provide that. You don't believe me? 2,620,867 birth control information and services. 1,870,664 reversible contraception clients. 631,510 emergency contraception kits. Approximately 402,000 unintended pregnancies averted by Planned Parenthood's contraceptive services. So they're actually on the proactive side of trying to keep people from getting pregnant, while we have people trying to force laws to, you know, we don't want to pay for contraceptives, but then you don't want folks to get an abortion. They're on the proactive side in providing contraceptives to prevent unplanned pregnancies that folks can't afford to have. 570,444 breast exams and pap tests. This is what I'm talking about, especially for those in college. This is what they provide. I personally know some people who have used Planned Parenthood to get their pap smears. For some women, teens, this is their first ever. Planned Parenthood provides their first ever pap smear, ever. Planned Parenthood, because they could otherwise would not be able to afford it. And again, you may not have a health department to go to, or it might be a long waiting list to get into that health department, or you might have a traumatic experience, because I know some people who have used the health department and had a traumatic experience with getting a health screening. 296,310 breast exams provided. 274,145 pap tests performed. 70,193 women whose cancer was detected early and whose abnormalities were identified. That's 70,000 women going through Planned Parenthood breast exam pap tests who cancer has been detected early, or some type of abnormality were found in that pap test that possibly saved their lives so they can get treatment early. But we want to focus on abortion. Planned Parenthood is so much more than abortions. I say this every time I see something posted about it because it really irritates me. This information is free and readily available, but nobody takes the time to read. We just want to blindly trust, you know, the news and media. But why vilify this organization when they provide affordable health care for women who may not be able to afford it? 1.2 million people reach through education and outreach. Here's a 17-year-old user. She's female. Planned Parenthood through a chat or text. It's good to know you guys are here like a second mom or fun aunt you can ask these questions to without worrying about punishment or shame. Because as a teenager, you may not feel comfortable, you know, talking to your parents about sex. That's an uncomfortable conversation. It gets awkward. Some parents don't know how to have that conversation. They offer that. You can book an appointment online, on the spot. They have digital education, all kinds of, you can chat, use text feature, direct message. Telemedicine services are available in 13 states. All kinds of different things available on a global front, from New York to Nairobi. People provided with sexual and reproductive health services by in-country partners of Planned Parenthood, 1,979,796 people. 295,578 people reached in person, that's face-to-face, with sexual and reproductive health information. They have 4,788 youth peer providers and youth peer educators that have been supported. Out of that, because of that, 22,600 people provided with services through their YPPs, which is their youth peer providers. Planned Parenthood is so much more than abortions, people. So much more than abortions. So much more than abortions. Here's a woman who has a statement. She was struggling with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. She's a veteran. And Planned Parenthood provided services to her. So again, you can sit here and vilify this organization all you want, but I would say you probably want to find out for yourself, what is it really about? Because it's more than just abortion. So why really focus so much on that one service when, again, 48.7% of the services they provided in 2007 was STI testing and treatment. 27.1% was contraception. What percent of their services was abortion in 2017? 3.4%. So we blow up and magnify 3.4% of their services when almost 50% of their services is in STI testing and treatment. So we want to reduce and cut funding from an organization that's actually on the front lines doing more proactive work to prevent a lot of stuff based off of 3.4% of services that people, of a service, one service out of all of these other services they provide. Because why? What is the motive behind vilifying them for 3.4% of their services when 50% or more is on a proactive scale? You really have to ask yourself that question. Okay, a breakdown of contraceptive services: 38.2%, pill 21.3%, other 22.1%, long-acting methods, meaning IUD or some type of implant, 13.3% of progestin only. If you don't know progesterone is basically a hormone. Injectables, combined hormone ring, 3.3%, 1.7% are using the patch. I just don't understand how we can vilify an organization that's so much more than abortions when 3.4% of their services that people have used is abortion. When all of their other services, what are other services, by the way? Family practice services for women and men, adoption referrals, urinary tract infection treatments. UTIs are real and are painful. If you're a woman, you know. They provide that. Other procedures for women and men, that falls under other services. Other women's health services, well woman exams, pregnancy tests, Prenatal services, miscarriage care, because miscarriages happen. That is to no fault of a woman whatsoever, but they provide those services. Miscarriage care, you need that because up here is real. That weighs on you. Prenatal services, pregnancy tests, 1,074,952 pregnancy tests. Okay. Well woman exams, cancer screenings and prevention, 614,361. Vasectomy clients, 3,421. So guess what? Men are going to Planned Parenthood too. Again, why vilify this organization for 3.4% of services when more than 50% of their services are preventative? And that's the focal point. Why are we trying to pull funding when they're here to provide affordable health care for women? And as you can see, there are some men who use it. They're using these services. So why are they being vilified for providing affordable health care for over 100 and for over 100 years? For 103 years, they have been providing affordable health care. Vital reproductive health care, sex education. That's huge. Those two right there, huge in and of itself. But there are a lot of areas where people cannot afford health care. So they're providing affordable health care. Before we had an Affordable Care Act, before there was affordable health care for women, 103 years? You can't tell me they aren't reducing the spread of sexually transmitted infections through testing and treatment, and all of the through the education, providing contraceptives. You can't tell me they aren't, when 48.7, almost 50% of their services is that of being. And when I say services, I mean that's what people are using. Users, they're providing that to almost 50% of the people that go to Planned Parenthood is for contraceptive, for STI prevention and treatment and testing. They screen for cervical cancer, other types of cancers. They are they're a healthcare facility. They're huge when it comes to health, to sexual health and education in that area. But I just want to challenge you to think about why they are vilified so much when only 3.4% of their clients, their customers, are coming to them for abortion. But that's the only thing you hear about Planned Parenthood in the news. Why? Why? I really think that it's important to think about that. We can't live our best lives as human beings vilifying organizations that are in place to help fix problems before they become a problem. If kids, let's just break it down and be simple. If kids felt comfortable talking to their parents about sex, there wouldn't be a need for a Planned Parenthood. The reality is young people don't feel comfortable having that conversation. It's always that way. There are rare occasions where you have relationships with your parents where you can have those open dialogues, but let's be real, that's few and far in between. A lot of young people don't feel comfortable having those conversations. They just can't have those transparent conversations with their parents, but they can go to a Planned Parenthood where they can have that conversation, get what they need, and make an informed decision versus being out here trying things all willy-nilly and then contracting an STD that there is no possible cure for because, I can't get it that way because you're making a decision out of ignorance. If you don't believe me, HIV is on the rise, especially among young people, because they don't believe they can get it through oral sex. So, oh, okay, if I just do oral sex, I'm safe from it. No, you're not. And that's how it's spreading increasingly among young people, because they ignorantly believe that it's, they can't get, as long as they don't have penetrative sex, they won't get it. So they're just experimenting with oral sex and they're contracting HIV increasingly. But if you don't have these conversations and you're not educated on that, so I don't know. But there are some Planned Parenthood centers who provide prenatal care. Not all of them, but there are some who provide prenatal care. Because some pregnant people, I mean, come on, people. I don't understand. If you need an ultrasound, there are some who provide ultrasounds for those of you who are pregnant and you need an ultrasound and you can't afford one. You can get a low-cost one at some Planned Parenthoods, but not all of them. So what does, again, let me just run this down so you know what Planned Parenthood does besides abortions, because y'all just focusing on that one thing because that's what the media wants you to focus on. STD and HIV testing and treatment, birth control, screening for reproductive cancers, breast, cervical, testicular, and prostate. Hello, men. Cancers, pap tests and well woman exams, vaccines, PrEP and PEP medicines to help prevent HIV, pregnancy services and prenatal care, transgender health services, including hormone replacement therapy, vasectomy and other sterilization services, condoms, and so on, and so on, and so on. So, along with nurses and doctors, Planned Parenthood, a lot of their centers have counselors, social workers, and health educators who can give information about sexual health parenting skills like breastfeeding and nutrition, because not all hospitals provide women, especially first-time moms, with an education on how to breastfeed. So you can go to a Planned Parenthood in your area if they provide it and get some parenting skills on breastfeeding and nutrition, as well as people who can talk to you about health insurance and any other government programs that can help you and your family stay healthy. But we focusing on one service that 3.4% of their clients use. Okay, later. Bye for all of that. Am I passionate about this? Absolutely. Does it burn my goat? Absolutely. Why? Because it's ignorant. To sit here and believe the vilification of this organization where there are women, young girls, kids out here who need the services they provide to prevent them from making a decision that could negatively affect them for the rest of their lives. I just don't understand it. I really don't. 4.7 million people in 2017-18 alone got tested for STIs and tested and treated, and or treated, I'll say that, for sexually transmitted infections. 1 year, 4.7, just at Planned Parenthood alone. It's 8 billion people on this planet. 4.7 million people. Okay. But we want to focus on 3.4% of services that people are using. So we're going to vilify we're going to ruin the ability for 4.7 million people. Services that they could otherwise may not be able to get at their local health clinic or whatever. Are y'all serious? It's time to get serious. Educate yourself, pay attention, but more importantly, get the facts and ask yourself, question everything at this point, question everything. Like, why are we vilifying them for one service when they provide all these other services? What's the motive? I'm gonna be honest, my question is, who's not making money? Who's not making money? Because I question this because I want to know who are these people behind the motive. Because the main thing is, to me, the other thing is, this might be the same people who want to give parenting rights to rapists. Who in their right mind would give parenting rights to a rapist? But people in Alabama lawmakers want to. So what? They can teach that child to be a rapist? What? I don't understand that. But are these the same people behind that are vilifying an organization like Planned Parenthood for a service that only 3.4% of the people that go to the population that use their services actually use? When they're on the preventative measure, and we can't sit here and say that it's a Christian thing. That's a lie before Jesus. Question why they're being vilified. That's all I can say to you. But I just really wanted to give you the facts about what and who Planned Parenthood is. I'm not, I'm not here to push an agenda, but you need to be well informed. I'm pro information. This information is free and available to you right on their website. But maybe some people feel like, oh, you're going to their website, it's going to say, it says a whole lot about you that you worried about what other people think about who you are and what you're looking up. I say it makes you a smart person because now what you're doing is educating yourself on the facts. On the facts. Because the reality is, what are they really doing? What impact are they making as it relates to women's health? But they are, again, as you can see, you just heard me say some stuff that they've done for men as well. So what impact have they made? Because they're making an impact. They are America's largest, let me say it the way they have it on their website, leading sexual and reproductive healthcare provider and the largest provider of sex education. They got full-on doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, social workers, run the gambit. They got them. You think these people will be working for an organization that the only thing they did was a service that 3.4% of the population that use their services only use? Just start thinking. Just ask questions. Just really start juicing and think critically. Think for yourself and not let the media or anybody else tell you something that's not the truth. Because these people are doing the numbers, of course, because they have to. You want to know why? Because they have to do a report. They have to be accountable to IRS because it is a 501c3 organization. But y'all didn't know that. They're not a for-profit organization. They are a 501c3. They are a non-profit organization. So again, you can't live your best life believing, just blindly following and believing everything you hear in the news, because the news is clickbait, is meant to get you wrapped up, caught up into that stuff, and then you make an ignorant decision that you will later regret because you didn't know that this organization did so much more. Not just for teens, but for parents, first-time parents, or even, continued parents, because, whatever you need may not be covered under the insurance. You may not have insurance, or whatever the case may be. It is affordable. It was affordable before there was an Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. They provide services even for educators who want to help. And A veteran went there to get the support because she had PTSD and anxiety real bad. Because guess what they have? Counselors to help with depression, vaccinations, hypertension, diabetes, substance abuse, anxiety, name it. Because guess what? That stuff comes with you get a cancer you get if you go to a place and you get a screening and it comes back positive for cancer or an abnormal pap. Let me tell you, a scary thing for a woman to get is an abnormal pap smear because there's a possibility that there's ovarian cancer. If you don't think depression and anxiety and all kinds of substance abuse might not sink in, you need those services because you need that counseling. They provide that. Health and wellness. They're looking at the total person. Having conversations about sex and relationship when people aren't ready to have those conversations, sexual orientation and gender, all this kind of stuff. They've been doing it. They're not new to this. So we've got to get better about educating ourselves. I mean, we live in a world of Google now. Information is right at your fingertips. It's not, I mean, yeah, you got to figure out what's credible and what's not. But the first place you can go to is their website and look at the annual report that they have to file. You can look at their 990 that they have to file with IRS. That details what they've been doing. And it breaks down the money, where it's been, where it's going, what's happening. This stuff is public information. This not like they're trying to hide it, but we got a president that won't even release his information. But they're just as transparent, but we're quick to believe whatever the news puts out there. Why? I just want to know who ain't making money. Either who's not making money, or what who is mad at Planned Parenthood that you want to vilify them in this manner? What's the agenda? I understand that, there's a concern that young people aren't having babies, that but to me, I would rather them be responsible and actually plan to parent, because if you can't afford to have that child, why get pregnant? So is this an issue of population control, but it's reversed, meaning because our population is reducing because young people aren't having babies, millennials, because that's what the stats are saying, actually. Millennials are not having babies. They're like, nope, we ain't doing it. And it's at alarming rates. So is it easy to vilify this organization for 3.4% of services? Or is it really because we want to shut down the bigger part of it, the 50% of the services that are proactive to prevent it in the first place? We have to understand that at the end of the day, humanity wins. And we just have to stop. Think about what we're doing. But I'm glad you guys are tuned in. I am very grateful that the person asked me to do this one, and I was very happy to do it. If you have a topic you want me to cover, I'm more than happy to do that, dig into it. You can hear my passion. I am a woman. At one point or another, I've had to go there for birth control myself because I didn't have insurance and I didn't get paid a whole lot of money. I've been there with some peers from college, those who have used abortion services, but I've been there when somebody has had a pap smear for the very first time, and it's scary because they didn't know what was going to happen, and that's where they went. Because in that area where we were, there was no local health department that would do the screening because they didn't have anybody who could. And when you got to go and hold somebody's hand because they're terrified because they're like 18, 19, 20 years old, have never had a pap smear in their life, and they're a virgin and they're scared. And that might sound ridiculous, but that's the reality, and that's out there. So yeah, I'm passionate about people being educating and getting the truth about the services they offer. It's not just that. It's not. It's affordable healthcare. Before there was ACA, before there was Obamacare, there was Planned Parenthood providing these services, sex education, free workshops for people to come out and talk to you and talk to classes and educate about sex education, because you don't get that everywhere. We take a lot of stuff for granted, but this organization is out there having those conversations. You don't have to agree, but the reality is avoiding having those conversations about sex is not going to prevent young people from having sex. If anything, they're out there winging it, catching, guess what? STIs, gonorrhea, syphilis. These things are on the rise, things that there's no known cure for. You can just treat it and live with it. There's no cure. So I really, really, really hope that this particular episode, I know it's a little bit long, but I really, really hope that this episode has really informed you about the truth of what Planned Parenthood provides. I know grown 30, 40-year-old women who have gone to Planned Parenthood for healthcare screenings as a woman because they didn't have insurance and they had to pay cash, and that's what they could afford. And they got quality healthcare screenings that they could afford to pay because that's all they had. And they found out you know what? This is good, but guess what? You have food allergies, and that's why you're having flare-ups, and that's why this is happening to you, and that's why that is happening to you. Otherwise, this person would have gone through life and possibly eaten something that could have killed them, not knowing that. That was caught when she went to Planned Parenthood for a checkup, because that's what she could afford. There's no shame in it at all. Planned Parenthood has probably saved so many people's lives it don't even make sense. So thank you so much for listening to my podcast here on Anchor FM. You've been on the mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. I'm really, really, really seriously trying to help you live your best life now. This is a very sensitive subject here, talking about Planned Parenthood. I know it's going to make some people uncomfortable, but hopefully you are more informed about it. So when you see stuff in the news, you're not so quick to just jump on the bandwagon and vilify them, but you can in turn help to educate other people on what this organization is, what they are about, and hopefully, kind of steer people in a different direction, because the statistics I just shared with you are staggering, but you don't hear about that in the news. So again, thanks for listening with me. You've been on the mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light. Bye.